How do you keep your home protected from the small bugs and critters we typically find here in Sacramento? Well, today I'm speaking with an expert in the pest home defense arena. We have a true technician with us today, Charles Chuck Jordan, owner of Sacramento's Priceless Pest and Pool Services. He has over 20 years of pest control industry experience, and his team and him have worked on more than 50,000 residential and commercial properties across our region. His company was recently recognized by Terminix for their innovative eco-friendly treatment methods. And as a realtor, I've personally seen Chuck's expertise and how it helps both buyers and homeowners address their pest concerns as they're transitioning through or buying new property. So Chuck, appreciate you sitting down and talking with me about today.
Appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
man.
Yep.
So as a realtor, I know how important it is to keep homes, nice and clean and protected from pests. I mean, sometimes I've gone to a home inspection and then we find that there's beetles in the subfloor or there's subterranean termites and things like that. So can you talk to us about why pest control is so important in home ownership?
Absolutely. Well, living in the great state of California, we have a interesting ecosystem here in California that provides a lot of pests, such as Argentine ants, roof rats, Oriental cockroaches. Here in Sacramento, they're known as the water beetle, but that's not the correct name. The correct name is Oriental cockroach.
Okay.
So our ecosystem pretty much brings forth a major pest issue.
Yeah, I mean, the weather kind of contributes to that because it's so balanced, right? And it gets wet sometimes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're going to have a variety of many pests here.
Okay.
Due to the ecosystem, our ecosystem of California.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what pests are kind of most common in Sacramento homes? Like, what are the ones that kind of pop up routinely? You mentioned kind of a spectrum there, but are there ones that kind of pop up more often than not that people should kind of be on the lookout for?
Absolutely. The top three is the Oriental cockroach, Norway rat, the roof rat, and the Argentine ant. Those are the top three pests that we deal with.
And what kind of makes some of those problematic for homeowners, what they'll notice, like symptoms that they might notice from those kind of top three?
Sure. Those are kind of problematic because the roof rat can get into the walls and tear up your wiring and such like that, leave droppings. They'll leave a plague, get people sick.
Sure.
Same thing with the Oriental cockroach and German cockroach. They get into your grains or whatever they're getting into, they can make you very sick and ill. And we don't want that.
No, absolutely not. Right. So like those types like rats get into the walls. Is that something that can be costly to take care of?
Yes, it can be. But with proper exclusion methods, it isn't costly at all.
Fantastic. So what about, in terms of some of these, various pests and kind of controlling, protecting the house, what about the seasons? Are there some seasons where you're more likely to see certain of these or others, or how does the season kind of impact?
Absolutely not. Well, during the winter season and the summer season, you still see with the temperature change, you'll see Oriental cockroaches, whether it's really cold or really hot.
Okay.
Roof rats, I hear of them year round here in Sacramento. Ants year round. So it's a consistent problem.
Okay.
365.
Yeah, I think like for me, I always tend to see ants when it starts to get warmer. I don't know if it's like my property and they go underground to stay warmer, but once it starts getting warm, I see them like actually on the surface of like, the concrete or around the property. But like I try to spray every year, like every season. So like I just sprayed as soon as we kind of got into the winter season, I sprayed. And as soon as we come out of this and start getting into that more spring weather, I go around, my property and start spraying all over again.
Right.
So the ants and stuff like that, but you're saying that they kind of tend to be just year round.
They are absolutely year round, yes.
And so is there some signs that you might be noticing with some of these types of pests, like the roof rats or?
Roof rats, you'll hear scratching in the wall or noises after sunset.
Okay.
You'll also find fecal matter if you're brave enough to go in your attic. And the funny story is with Oriental cockroaches, they leave a black matter that looks like droppings the same as a roof rat, but it's not. So there's signs everywhere, around, and ants still just pop up and you'll see them.
For sure. You mentioned after sunrise. Is that because are they
Sunset.
after sunset? Is that
Yes.
because
They're
of
nocturnal.
their nocturnal? Okay,
Yes.
so they just kind of wake up and then they start
Yeah, that's when they're
trying
waking
to.
up and getting active and
Ah,
keeping you from a good night's sleep,
yeah, I would
scratching.
imagine that would
Yeah,
be very, very irritating.
yeah,
And so, in terms of preventative maintenance, right? We're talking about ways to kind of, like I mentioned, spraying around. But
hmm
what are some other things homeowners can include in kind of an annual inspection checklist if they wanted to write
sure.
something down?
Step one is walking your premises every day. Most of us as humans, we like to go and sit in a certain spot when we get home every day.
Sure.
Take 5 minutes to walk your property, see if any trees are touching your property, where
Hmm.
roof rats can use it as I-5 99 to get on the roof and start infesting. Also, Argentine ants use tree limbs that are touching the house on the
Mm,
structures to get in, bushes. Keep bushes about 6 inches away from the foundation.
okay,
No overhanging trees. Check your door weather stripping on the bottom so things can't slide in and under.
that makes
So
sense.
yeah, stuff like that.
So something unique for me that might apply to others is like I have a neighbor who has a tree that is kind of reaching over the fence. What would you recommend on that? Do you kind of
Well, as you know, as a realtor, anything that's overlapping on your property, you're allowed to trim back.
right?
So I would talk to your neighbor and say, hey, this tree is causing me some trouble, but you don't have to, but be nice to your neighbors,
Yeah,
and you could trim it back yourself
right.
or get
Yep.
a professional to trim it back.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So could you share some quick maintenance tips to prevent infestations of like ants or roaches or
Sure,
roof
sure.
rats?
With roaches, oriental exterior roaches, you can do weather stripping
Hmm.
on your doors. That's the bottom of the doors. Most people don't take care of their weather stripping, their garage weather stripping, and the back door weather stripping because they slide right under. And that also goes for rodents too,
Okay,
because they'll slide right under the door,
right.
such as voles too. They're rodent and a mole mixed together. Vole,
Interesting.
yes,
That's crazy.
yeah. Exclusion is key. Yeah,
Okay, fantastic.
yeah.
And so, in terms of real estate considerations, so something this might be something a buyer may be thinking about, or a homeowner is going to be thinking about as they're process, thinking about buying or selling a
hmm
property. How can a pest issue impact the home's value or sellability, in
Uh,
your opinion?
Multiple ways. You could have a termite infestation.
Hmm.
You got to get with a pest professional and see if you had a beetle infestation that could cost tens and thousands of dollars.
Hmm.
That you don't even know that you have. So always get two inspections, one inspection, three inspections, and make sure you get everything taken care of that way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when I'm specifically helping a client buy a house, the pest inspection is one of the
Absolutely,
foundational inspections I always recommend them getting,
absolutely.
even if the seller says they've already gone ahead and did one.
hmm
Um, it may seem like a waste of money or
It's not.
double work.
Yeah,
People miss things all the time on
absolutely,
inspections, and it never
absolutely.
hurts to have another set of eyes.
Yes,
In my experience, pest reports can run not more recently over $200, but
yes.
I haven't really seen too many that are over 400, but it can be
Right,
between that
right,
200 and 400 range,
right.
and you may think like, oh, I see the seller just gave us one. Yes, but I would recommend you still get your own,
Yes,
just so you can even ask the inspector during that time a few questions about what they
absolutely.
may find or not find.
Yeah.
And so, what are some cost factors or treatment plans that a buyer may anticipate if
hmm
they did buy a home that needed some work?
hmm
And let's say it was it's kind of some rodents and things like that. What are some costs to kind of go in, and how is that kind of treated?
As inspected, and what the buyer truly needs, you can go over different plans, with them to
Hmm.
see what fits their budget because everybody's truly on a
Right.
budget nowadays.
Yep.
So it just depends on what the buyer wants to do and how far and what they want to get protected.
Gotcha.
So
And then if they were to say, yeah, we've heard some scratching on the wall, how is that treated and kind of mended?
first you go and you inspect and see what's going on inside the attic, and then you can lay traps.
Okay.
You can talk to them about things they can do to prevent,
Right.
you know, and then you can go into exclusion work. So, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
That makes sense. That's good. And so kind of training possible viewers, what would some questions that you would advise they ask when they're hiring a pest control service?
Sure. Just ask them. Never be afraid to ask what type of chemicals they're using.
Hmm.
Is it eco-friendly? Or ask them if they do provide rodent service in the service, because some guys only provide a treatment service.
Okay.
That
Can you explain the difference between those two?
Sure. So a rodent service is more of having rodent stations and trapping for rats and mice,
Okay.
versus a treatment is more of it could be a treatment for fleas or bed bugs, and that could be totally separate in your
Gotcha.
plan. So
Okay.
yeah.
And then are there any other questions you might think that they should be asking besides kind of the about the chemicals and what specific service? Is there any sort of licensing or sort of
Um,
training that they might want to ask about? Like, hey, are you trained in this particular method or that particular thing?
Sure. Every technician should have a branch two license, like myself. So they're licensed to do that.
Okay.
They should be asking what more around in the inspection report can I do to prevent my home from further future infestations.
Okay. Incursions.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense. And so kind of just wrapping up here, I'm curious, what's your number one tip you tell your friends, your families, and things like that, to kind of protect their property?
Um, just just don't sleep on exclusion work.
Okay.
Um, it's really simple, and it just takes a few minutes out your time to trim a branch that might be leading on, that may save you $3,500 in
Right
repairs.
down the line.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just like the other day, I had a customer, I spoke to her about trimming this tree that's leading on. She wanted to protect this tree and didn't want to touch it. Now she has about $20,000 in
Mm,
damage, and with rodent fecal matter and installation she has to get replaced and
right.
such like that. So it's highly important, you know.
To try to find that preventative measurement. So some things you
Absolutely.
talked about were trimming back tree branches about 6 inches,
Right. Ambushes.
and
Yeah.
bushes, and
Hmm.
then replacing the weather
Web
stripping on
stripping.
the
Absolutely.
at the very least at the bottom of the door, if not
Right.
all the way around. Is that
Right.
right?
Correct.
What do you think about like screen doors and things like that? Is there anything people should do about screen doors? Because
Yeah, make sure they don't have any holes in them. And another big key is sanitation too.
mm-hmm,
So try to keep a tidy place or a tidy
sure,
restaurant. When I walk into restaurants, I'm always high on sanitation reports.
for sure.
Hey, you guys got to help me help you.
You're right. I got you.
So I can't be getting all these rats and you're over here feeding them. So it's like
Yeah,
let's
bringing them back,
yeah
training them in
let's
a
work
certain way.
together to solve the problem.
Right, that
So
makes
yeah.
sense. And so, tell us a little bit where we can, find you on social media, your
Sure.
website, things like that.
Sure. You can find me. I'm all over Sacramento, Yolo County, Solano County, San Joaquin. You can call me 916-613-7412, or you can just email me, charlesjordan8035@gmail.com.
Okay,
Yeah, and I'm on Instagram and Chuck Chuck General 21,
okay.
and that's my site.
And so I know you have some kind of just pivoting. I just want to also shout out you do a pool service as well. Is that right? Can you
Yes.
tell me a little bit about that?
Sure, sure. So for about 12 years, I've been doing pools,
Okay,
and I do commercial and residential pools and such
nice.
like that. So
Okay.
yeah.
And what is that? So is that kind of just cleaning, or is it?
So it's more cleaning. I am starting to dabble into building
Okay,
with my cousin,
nice.
his partnership. But right now it's more of maintenance, cleaning, replacing systems and such like that.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
well, man, listen, that was great. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you coming
Appreciate you
by
having me,
and sharing it
like
with the
always.
homeowners. And
Yes.
so, for anyone out there that is interested in making sure they're protecting their property from pests, absolutely would love you guys to give Charles Jordan a call and check out what his services are and see how I can help you protect your property. Appreciate you watching. Like and subscribe if you can. My name is Wilson.McDowell III. I'm a real estate agent with Impact Real Estate, and I will see you guys on the next one.